Nigeria is one of Africa's biggest economies, sometimes number one, often competing with South Africa and Egypt. Yet, when government officials speak, you hear the language of scarcity, no money, limited resources, tight budget. And if you're an average Nigerian, you're probably thinking, if the country is big, why does everything feel so small? Why are hospitals underfunded? Why are public schools struggling? Why do roads take years to fix? So which is it? Is Nigeria rich or is it broke? And here's the uncomfortable part. The answer might explain why you keep paying more while feeling like you're getting less. Stay with me. Welcome to the Insight. According to the World Bank, Nigeria's real GDP growth in the first 3 quarters of 2025 was about 3.9%. That means the economy is expanding, markets are active, telecom companies are billing, banks are lending, airports are busy. On paper, Nigeria is producing more goods and services. By total size, it remains one of Africa's largest economies. But here's the key distinction. GDP measures economic activities. It does not measure government cash. A state can look commercially vibrant, but if the government captures only a small fraction of that activity in taxes, it still cannot build enough hospitals in Kano or repair enough highways in Anambra. That is Nigeria's paradox. Now, we get to the core issue. Nigeria collects very little tax relative to the size of its economy. The IMF reported Nigeria's tax-to-GDP ratio at about 9.4% in 2023. Many emerging economies collect 15 to 20% of GDP. Nigeria collects less than 10%. In practical terms, that means when federal universities shut down for months, when power infrastructure lags, when local clinics lack equipment, part of the explanation is revenue. The government simply does not capture enough income from the economy to fund everything citizens expect. But of course, there's also the question of corruption and what happens to the little that is currently collected. And because revenue is limited, the pressure concentrates on the formal sector, salaried workers, registered businesses, telecom and banking transactions. So some Nigerians feel heavily taxed, yet the national revenue base remains small. That tension fuels frustration. Now add oil to the equation. Oil still accounts for more than half of federal revenue in budget projections. But oil revenue is volatile. If global prices drop, revenue drops. If production is disrupted, revenue drops. And when revenue drops, the effects are immediate in the form of budget revisions, currency pressure, cuts or delays in capital projects. So oil makes Nigeria globally visible, but it does not give the government predictable, stable income. And stability is what allows long-term planning. Without stability, every budget feels fragile. Now, consider debt. The projected 2026 budget ranges between 54 and 58 trillion naira, but roughly 15 trillion is allocated to debt servicing alone. That is money used to pay existing obligations, not new hospitals, not for better roads, not for improved security, just servicing the past. And this is where the story gets personal, because when government revenue is squeezed and debt servicing is high, something has to give way. And usually it gives way at your level, at my level, in the form of higher indirect taxes, more aggressive revenue enforcement, and reduced public investment. So when you notice new levies, higher tariffs, tighter fiscal language, you're not imagining it. You're actually feeling the structural consequences of this imbalance. And unless that structure changes, the squeeze doesn't disappear. It simply shifts. Now, let's simplify the equation. Revenue is low, spending needs are high, debt obligations are heavy, so the government runs deficits, about 4% of GDP in projections. That means borrowing. And borrowing today increases debt servicing tomorrow, which reduces future fiscal space. That's why reforms feel slow. Not necessarily because nothing is happening, but because a significant portion of revenue never reaches visible development. It is absorbed before it can transform daily life. But there is one more structural layer. Nigeria's informal economy is massive. Millions operate outside formal tax systems. That supports livelihoods, but it limits predictable revenue capture. So the formal sector carries a disproportionate share of taxation, which is why some salaried Nigerians feel overburdened, even while the government insists revenue is insufficient. It's not pure contradiction, it's structural imbalance. So here's the full picture. Nigeria is a large economy, but size is not the same as government liquidity. Low tax capture, heavy oil dependence, high debt servicing, persistent deficits and corruption. Put all of that together and you get a government that often feels poor even when the country itself is not. And until revenue becomes broader, more stable, and more efficiently managed, this paradox will continue to shape everyday Nigerian life. Not because Nigeria lacks economic activity, but because converting activity into usable public revenue remains constrained. And that is the real story. I'm Adejun Oshoyinka. Thank you for watching The Insight.